Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to MORE-VILLE, ORVILLE, the podcast that reviews the ORVILLE. This is Mike L, and I'm joined by G.I. Jolie.
This is G.I. Jolie.
Woo!
Reporting for duty.
Yes. But it's no chore to review this show, I don't think. Anyway, Champion, thank you for joining us.
Yes, this is Champion, also reporting for duty. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So here we are, the second last episode of the show. The plot of this was spoiled by 3 assholes on Facebook, but Champion's gonna tell us what happens in this one. It's a big one. It's a monumental episode. Before we get into it, I'll say this felt like a movie, but that's all I'm gonna say until Ian gives the plot summary.
Yes, it did feel like a movie. It was very cinematic. We start off by learning that the Union has developed a new secret weapon that will render the Kaylon threat basically non-existent. We see the Union test this weapon out, and in one explosion, we take out an entire fleet of Kaylon ships as though they're not even there. Captain Mercer watches in some consternation as these Kaylon ships just disintegrate in front of their eyes. So then we take this information to the Union. The Council deliberates as to what we're going to do with this. This is a very, very powerful weapon, and it has the capacity to destroy the entire Kaylon, just completely. And there's some moral implications here. Of course, do we destroy an entire race of people, even though they want to destroy us? Or do we just use this as a deterrent? The Union talk it over amongst themselves, and they decide, yes, they're going to essentially go to the Kaylon and say, hey, look, we got this thing. We can really kick your asses with it. We're going to give you the chance to be our friends if you want. Otherwise, we're just going to blow you up entirely. The Kaylon, they come on board, and they agree to a treaty with the Union. However, Admiral Perry steals this device and takes it to the newly formed alliance of the Mocklins and the Krill. And the thinking there is that they will have no compunction to destroy them entirely. This is something that apparently Admiral Perry thinks should have happened. So the Union end up allying with the Kaylon in order to try and get this weapon back. And there is a huge firefight on a Mocklin research planet, a weapons research planet, and a beloved member of the ORVILLE crew has to sacrifice herself in order to save a species that she doesn't really like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of you. You barely flinched when you referred to her as beloved. Or you didn't gag at all.
No, not even a little. Not even a little. I have mixed feelings about this character death, but we'll get to that.
Sure. So first, I gotta say, this is almost like Ian. You've never seen Game of Thrones, have you?
I've seen Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this reminded me of a Game of Thrones-esque twist where alliances change. Like in this episode, and it's funny because I thought this was one of those things where the status quo was going to stay the same for a long time, but it didn't. Like, this was a fairly, unexpected twist, at least to me. So I thought that was one thing that was really cool. The idea of this doomsday device was really cool. And the way that it ended up, even though it was spoiled by selfish jerks on Facebook, I still thought it was a really good ending. And even though I did not necessarily beloved this character, their death was very sad, I thought, and their funeral was very sad. G.I. Jolie, what'd you think?
You can't see me, but my eyes are wide and my grin is large. Dreams do come true.
Oh, Jolie.
I think I didn't immediately text Jeff, but Jeff definitely texted me. Let me regale you with some of the gems from our conversation. No, it was. Oh, we also were like, wow, Ted Danson. Okay, that was like,
yep.
That was a weird turn for him. But so her death totally fine with.
Uh-huh.
Was it sad? Yes. Was it rendered campy when the whole entire thing explodes and she whispers
Yes.
the most white name anybody could ever have?
What was her name?
Says second. It was Amanda or something. Wasn't it?
Amanda. I mean, okay.
The second whitest name. I mean, if it was like Heather, I'm here. Like that could have been a little bit worse,
Yeah.
maybe, right? I mean, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah, or like it's just such a strange. I wonder if like was that character named after somebody, because it's just when writers write names, they don't immediately go to like Amanda or Melissa or Julie. Sorry, Julie. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess. Sorry to all of the Amandas either. I'm not saying your name is like terrible, but it was really hard to listen to.
She might as well have
Charlie Burke whisper it.
Right. She might as well have said, Karen, I'm with you, or something, you know, like,
Karen, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Here I come. I'll be with you. Like, I guffawed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone's guffawed since the 18th century as loud as I had when I watched that bullshit. Anyway, okay. Do you know what? When it happened, I cheered aloud. I didn't care for Charlie's character at all. Also, I could feel it. The whole time I was like, oh, she's gonna have to sacrifice herself for the Kalon. And the whole time I was trying to work out how it would happen.
right.
Like what would put her in a position for her to do this? And then when they got to the Mocklin research planet of all places that Clyden just happens to know about, all Mocklins know about this research planet.
Wait, it was Clyden who
No.
gave us
Boris.
that nugget?
Sorry.
Oh, it was Bortus. Okay.
I mean Bortus. Sorry. Oof. Well, I mean, Clyden would have known if you asked him, because apparently all Krells know about this very important researcher. It's okay. Like those kinds of things I can let slide. Anyway, ding dong, the witch is dead. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Ding dong.
So here's the thing. Now, obviously, because the season was planned in advance, we now know that Charlie was created to be killed. So the arc was planned from episode 1. I can only
She
assume,
was
right?
cannon fodder.
Yes, she was.
So good.
I mean, they could have done a better job with her character because she's sort of universally despised.
That's the thing. They could have made her. And I got a slightly different take on Charlie's death than Jolie does. I mean, I wasn't happy with it because this character that we've all never really resonated with is now a martyr. Like, she saved the universe, and that irritates me. I don't want to see her, this annoying kid who backtalks the senior staff every chance she gets. Now she's a hero?
Yeah.
Why? Because she happens to have this still unexplained ability to think and perceive in 4 dimensions. We don't know what that even means.
Yikes.
And now she's dead, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're never going to have that explained.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, here's the thing is, the benchmark for great literature for me is, of course, V and V the Final Battle from 1983. But there are characters who start out as kind of annoying and, unlikable, and then they end up sacrificing themselves. But here's the key, I think, is that when it happened in V, they did it for that. That they didn't want to die. Because they had people that they loved that they left behind. And I'm not saying that Charlie didn't do a good thing by sacrificing herself because she killed herself or allowed herself to die. But she did want to be with Amanda. So in a way, if she really believes that, it was almost like a little bit selfish. It's like she wanted to die anyway. So I don't want to I don't want to get into a philosophical debate about how all motivation is all choices are motivated by a self motivation. I'm not wording that properly, but you get my point.
Self-interest, yeah.
But self-interest. But it did kind of oh my God, this is one of the side effects of eating hyper processed food is you actually lose cognitive like ability to like find words. But and I've got it right now because I have Subway and Tim Hortons every day. But
well, I had Taco Bell yesterday, and I still got. I still took the trump card down there. Self-interest. I got it. Yeah. Need a little hot sauce on your Subway. You'll be good.
Yeah, but anyway, you get my point. It's almost like I don't even know if this is worth scrutinizing. I guess the greater question is how did it make us feel? I was not happy. I was actually sad. Like I was sad with the funeral at the end. It almost reminded me of something that Star Trek. Well, of course, something Star Trek would do. Right? Like they handled it really well. I thought
they did, but I was touched by the funeral as well. But I wasn't touched because of the loss of Charlie's character or by anything that she had done. It was to sort of watch Isaac explore this new facet of his feelings, right? Like he is trying to wrap his head around the fact that somebody who despised him also sacrificed herself for him. Right. And that is what sort of touched me, right? It was all Isaac's speech. It was all Isaac trying to... he's developing more humanity as things go. And that is what I thought was interesting about this.
Yeah, because what ultimately comes out of this whole, like, one human sacrificing, if we're going to distill it down to this, which is what the Kaelon have done, one human has sacrificed themselves in order to save the race of Kaelons. So now the Kaelon are part of the union, the union, which is the turn that I did not see coming.
Right.
Because I was like, how are they going to quell these bloodthirsty robots? It didn't seem like there was any coming back from slavery.
Right.
From enslaving the Kaelon. They were just very binary in their thinking.
It was...
Yeah,
it is a nice twist. And again, like this episode was co-written by Brendan Braga, he was probably my favorite writer on TNG. And I don't know. I mean, this is maybe the type of story that maybe he wanted to do on Star Trek, but didn't get to. I mean, again, I haven't finished DS9, and I know that they explored ideas like this, like grander, scale wars and stuff like that. But that was one of the weird things about TNG is they really didn't have many continuing subplots. And, like the alliances would change a little bit, but there was nothing as grandiose as this. And we talked earlier about it feeling like like cinema, like true cinema. And sometimes it was almost to a fault. Sometimes it felt like when they were flying into the planet and it basically became Star Wars, right? Like flying around. The action scenes in space felt like Star Wars. Cross-cutting between 2 or 3 different subplots felt like Star Wars. When what's her name? Kelly and what's the girl's name? The replacement girl?
Kiali?
Yeah. Kiali. When Kiali and Kelly are like running through the base and they're shooting, it just feels like, I'm watching an action movie, which is good in a way, but it also felt a little bit Hollywood. Like the one-liners and the quips and how easily they were taking everybody out and like the one-on-one fight between Kelly and what's her name. I mean, that was fun, but it just felt a little bit too Hollywood to me.
Between Kelly and baby mama?
Yeah.
It felt Hollywood, or there's just a little bit of like, to me, there was a little satisfaction in there.
Well, but
to just see like a good old fashioned cat fight. Sure,
and it was a well choreographed fight, and also the scene at the end with what's her name again? I can never remember names because I eat
Tala.
Tim Hortons. Because Tiala, right? Or is it?
It's Tala. Isn't it Tala? Ian just said it too. Tala Kiali.
Yes.
Yeah, it's our chief of security.
Yeah.
No, not her. The leader.
Oh, you're talking about the krill.
Yes. Is it Spiria?
I don't remember her name.
Spiria. No one knows the characters' names, including me. Doesn't matter.
Hold on.
The leader of the bad people.
What? Do you mean the krill?
Yes, the krill.
Talea?
Talea.
How could I forget a name like that? Anyway, the scene at the end was cool.
Because you don't speak Krill?
Right. When Mercer was like, well, I can't protect you and blah, blah, blah. So basically, you're going to have to go on trial for war crimes. That felt very real. Like, she's unrelenting in her, like, she's not going to give in, right? So
She might.
No, we'll see. Yeah, but I appreciate like that was a well-written scene. I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because do you know what it really is? We only have one episode left, and it bothers me that we might not get a reunion with Seth MacFarlane and his daughter. Like, well,
yeah.
But hey, we are also getting like an hour and 45-minute runtime on each episode, so we might.
Mm-hmm.
This goes down in history as officially the second longest episode of the Orville, I think, is part of the trivia.
I'll skim through that, but they all seem to be getting longer and longer with each one, and I don't mind it. I mean, this one was fine as far as, length.
I absolutely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. Oh, okay, sorry. If we're talking about highlights or if we're just highlighting things that sort of annoyed us a little, does Gordon always have to have, like, no situation is ever made better by some guy singing with an acoustic guitar?
Oh,
okay.
Literally
I forgot about that scene.
I forgot about that too.
I think my brain erased it from my memory because you're exactly right. And the fact that Charlie was singing with him was I just wanted to punch myself in the face. And I got up and I got myself something to drink out of the fridge at that point. I was like, I'm not even gonna pause it. I'm just gonna
let it run.
Yeah.
The only thing that made that better
was that it ended.
No,
was the Charlie died at the end.
Both of those things, but two, Bortus and Clyden were there, and Aaron. Because me and Aaron watch it together, and she was like, they need to cut to Bortus and Clyden. I need to see their faces. And sure enough, they do. And sure enough, Bortus is half asleep.
I didn't even notice that.
It's because you also left the room because it was boring as fuck.
Yeah. Here's the thing is that, I mean, the best of writers have fallen into this trap, but there's almost never a good reason to include a musical performance in any movie or TV show, unless it directly contributes to the plot. Otherwise, you're really just trying to show off this talent of the actors. Like, oh, that's cool that they can sing. I don't care, Unless you're just showing, like, the last, chord of the song to be so the audience knows, oh, they were singing. But to sing almost an entire song, right?
That's the thing, right? Like, when somebody is playing a guitar and singing right in front of me in real life, I don't care at all.
Yeah.
Right? I'm bored by it. I think it's cheesy. I'm like, just put your guitar down and do something interesting. So, and that's when it's right in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's what, like, it's even if I like the person, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a TV show and I don't give a shit, just stop it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. Just move along. Just move the plot along.
Says the man who owns a bar where there's live music. No, I understand.
But you know what? It's just like, it's like when I go into a bar and there's a stage, I expect to see someone on that stage performing, right? Or if it's karaoke, even that's fine. But, imagine someone walking into your living room with like a guitar and just sitting down in front of you and like playing a song. You're like, whoa, this is not the time or the place.
I feel like personally insulted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other thing,
reasonably so, but still.
Well, it also goes back to my pet peeve about how when live musicians are in a scene, but the second they open their mouth, it's clear they're in a professional recording studio. I just wish that some sound mixer or whatever would put up their hand and be like, they should at least sound like they're in this room. Like, make it a perfect take, but throw a filter on there. Throw a large room reverb or something on the vocal to make it sound like they're in the room, right? You know what I'm talking about, Ian?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it's
that sort of dead,
flat.
I don't know.
Yeah, dead flat like recording studio sound. Yeah, but I guess that's the least of our worries. There was, speaking of like we're not really talking about this yet, but there was a part in this episode that I think was trying to be funny, but it didn't click for me. And of course, was it either with Malloy or Bortus?
Well, Bortus and Clyden had a cute scene where they were trying to open walnuts.
Yeah, that might have been it. It just didn't really work for me. It wasn't that funny. It was probably one of the only times Bortus has ever done something that I didn't, scream laughing at. I thought it was okay. What did you think?
It was all right. Right. I still think they're having trouble with the episode with the humor in these episodes this season.
Right.
They're just trying to be too serious, and they've gone a little bit too far with it, and they're having trouble walking it back.
Well, also, yeah, I mean the punchline was right that what's her name, Kiali comes in and crushes it, and it's like, I don't know. It would have been it almost like, well, that's what you expect. It would have been funnier if someone else did it. Right? Like just a kid or something. Like maybe, because with a nut, the way that you hold it also affects how well you can crush it. So what if they were just holding it the wrong way? That would have been funnier, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just wasn't a great punchline.
If it was like Thai or something, or just literally anybody who has ever used an earth nutcracker before.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Maybe they don't have nuts on Mockless.
On Mockless.
Oh, maybe.
Anyway.
For sure they don't. I don't know. His loud exclamation of, I will access the nut meat.
Yeah, that was funny. Okay,
there will be t-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So we already talked about the Ted Danson heel turn. For fun, does anyone have any suggestions for what other famous 80s sitcom star should be the next person to get a role as an admiral? Because I have my pick.
Is it Tim Allen? My pick is Tim Allen.
No, mine's Bronson Pinchot.
Oh,
I was going to say, is it Kevin Bacon?
Perfect Strangers. Kevin Bacon. Well, he was never on a sitcom, but Kevin Bacon's my first pick for everything. Okay.
He's my first pick for Dodgeball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we're making teams with touch football, he's always my first pick. So yeah, you guys have to pick one, and listeners, you can also pick one too.
I would love like Heather Locklear. I'm like, who did I love from Melrose Place? Who was the nuttiest?
Yep. See, with my sexist 80s mind, I wasn't even thinking of women. So thank you for that. You know what? I'm going to go with Jo Beth Williams then. I love Jo Beth Williams.
Oh, is she the mom from that 70s show?
No, she's the mom from Poltergeist.
Oh.
Yeah, not an 80s sitcom, but she's
sorry,
from the 80s.
I will correct myself before I'm corrected. It is, I will access the interior meat.
Okay.
Interior meat. Okay. Now we can move on from that.
Okay, Ian, do you have your pick? Your
80s? For Admiral. You know what? I'm not going to go with an 80s comedian. I'm going to go with someone else from science fiction that I would like to see again. And I'm going to go with Nathan Fillion from Firefly.
Oh, yes. That's goes without saying, of course.
Yeah, I'd like to see him as an admiral. Mm-hmm. Admiral Malcolm Reynolds.
Yes.
That would be amazing. Also, from a canceled Fox show. I mean,
correct.
He knows he too should feel the camaraderie and sting of being canceled from Fox. Sarah Michelle Gellar, speaking of.
Actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get behind that.
Yeah. Did you guys ever watch that show where R.I.P. Robin Williams played her father and they worked in an ad agency? It lasted a season.
No. But I've heard of it, I think.
It was really cute.
Right.
It was garbage. But like...
yeah. It is funny,
anyway.
I was going to say, I tend to think of these, like people like Gillian Anderson. Oh, what has she done since X-Files? Oh, she's done like 26 different shows. I just didn't watch any of them.
Yeah, she's currently in that really great show, Sex Education.
Right. As well as, what about the one where she plays a queen? Didn't she play Queen?
I think she's in The Americans also. A lot of cable, let's see. There's one really, really big one, that Stephen King one. Is it The Stand?
Well, I don't know. Hold on a sec here. Ian, help me out. Do you know what I'm talking about here? Gillian Anderson?
I know of her.
She played she played the First Lady.
Yeah.
9 episodes. The Crown. Hello. She played Margaret Thatcher. That's what I was thinking of. She got so into the character, it permanently changed her accent. Have you guys heard her speak? She has a British accent now. Like, if she goes on Jimmy Fallon, she has a British accent.
She's always had a British accent.
No.
And she's always been faking.
No, to be fair, she was born or raised in England, but the whole time, like, in the 90s, she had an American accent, but she moved back there and it came back.
Yes.
So anyway. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, Orville only has one more episode to go this season, and possibly one more episode ever. So obviously we all want it to come back, but I have a feeling, even if it does, it's not going to be a year from now. It's going to be probably 2 years. Because they haven't even started production, right?
No. What do you mean?
No, I'm saying it's true. They haven't started production. They don't even know if they're going to do it yet. It's not official, right?
No, and they're taking their sweet ass time dragging out an announcement about whether they're going to do this or not. But like Ian said before, I think you did say it last time, they might actually announce something at D23, the big Disney con.
Which is when?
Now that SDCC is over, I think...
D23.
They're either waiting for something at D23 or they're waiting for our final assessment after after our last podcast episode.
That's right.
I'm sure they're waiting for us. It's in September 9th, 10th, and 11th.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I circle the bandwagons, folks. Wait, circle the
wagons?
Yes. Circle those wagons.
I am in condition tonight.
Well, also,
that's
just
as far as the reference goes. What?
Because there's only one episode left, we must make the official invitation to Erin to join us. She is officially invited.
And she will officially decline.
There you go. At least it's official.
She wishes that we talked about more of the jokes. Obviously, it's hard to do.
Erin, they don't make jokes anymore, so we can't talk about them.
Yeah.
We'd love to be talking about them. I mean, we could talk about the joke of a character that Charlie Burke was.
Oh, just for the record, I did read up that she was officially created to have this arc. So, I mean, we saw that coming a mile away, right?
Which also, it bugs me, because why do you, if you're going to sacrifice a character at the end in some sort of grandiose, a martyrish way, why don't you make him likable?
Yes.
Right? If you know you're doing this from the get-go, then make it a likable character. I don't care.
That's a problem.
I think that was the problem, is that maybe Seth MacFarlane thought she was likable and not.
Oh no!
Right,
not even a little bit.
No, she's terrible.
You know, I don't know. I gotta say about this episode. This episode was good. This episode, I felt through a bunch of it that it was kind of masquerading as a better episode than it really was.
Yeah.
Because, to be honest, I didn't give a shit about the conflict a lot of the time, because we haven't really been given much of a reason to feel sympathetic for the Kaylon. So when Admiral Luke Perry stole the device and gave it to the Mocklins and the Krill, part of me is like, all right, well, you guys get the job done then. Like, I'm not gonna feel too sad if the Kaylon are exterminated, because they haven't given us anything. Aside from that one that had feelings, and Isaac, who, he wasn't always the nicest guy either.
I think you kind of hit a nail on the head. We mentioned Game of Thrones earlier. If you're going to compare it to Game of Thrones, when it was good in the first 5 or 6 seasons, one of the reasons it was so good is because it really felt like you didn't know what was going to happen, and it was almost like anxiety inducing to feel that fear of like, who's going to die next? What's going to happen? Because the enemies felt like a real threat, right? Mm-hmm. And this show, and not even TNG really achieved that level. Like, obviously there's a reason Game of Thrones had its reputation, but now the fact that Game of Thrones exists means the bar has been raised. So I feel like if Star Trek, if Orville is going to try to go to that level of dealing with a conflict this large, then you're right. They kind of have to. You can't just do it. You have to do it well. You have to develop all of these characters and develop the threats. Like, make the Kalon, develop them more, make them more, give them more of a dimension. Like maybe they should have had an episode showing them doing what they're doing or something, like a little bit of their personal lives or
that. And you have to make, if you're going to have a situation like this where we need to feel sympathy for the Kalon, let's compare the Kalon to, say, the Lannisters. Because they were the villains at the beginning, and they were the villains through a great portion of the show. But there were members of the family that, even when they were being dicks, you still like their character, right?
Yeah.
Like Tywin Lannister.
Yeah.
Well, Tyrion, that's sort of the obvious one, but I'm gonna go with Tywin because he was never the good guy. Like he was always the bad guy, but you still couldn't help but like him because you understood him.
Yeah.
And because he did show these periods of humanity where he wasn't, like his overall aim was his family above all others, but on a one-on-one level, he could be a relatable person. We never got that with the Kalon in the Orville here. They were just always trying to kill us. So how am I supposed to care if this device falls into enemy hands?
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, guys.
It also raises an interesting question about, the Kalon are computers, basically. They think like computers, but there still should be, like, other than Isaac, is there room for error? Do they make errors? Do they have individual opinions? I don't really quite understand how they work. And it would have been at least nice to explore that, to show, like you said, like individual characters having a little bit of a multifaceted personality, or at least a foreshadowing of what was to come. Like the idea that one of the characters, I think it was the leader, whatever his name was like,
Kalon Primary.
Yeah, Primary. He's like, oh, I didn't, this never occurred to me, or whatever he said. It would have been nice to have maybe some dissent in the ranks, right? Like some people having different opinions or something, just to show, like another dimension to the characters.
Or perhaps, what was the name of the Kalon that had feelings from a couple episodes ago?
Yes,
Timmins.
Yeah,
if
something.
They had fleshed that out a little bit more. Imagine there was some sort of an ongoing effort to bring emotion to the Kalon, or if there were some sort of underground society of Kalon that had emotion that would be caught in the crossfire if this would happen. Like if they were all destroyed and they would be destroyed along with them, then we could give a shit, because now there's some innocents that are kind of caught in the crossfire, whereas they're very much like the Borg on Star Trek, where they are all combatants. Like there is no individual dissent among them, so they're all trying to kill you. So I mean, I understand that the Union didn't want to go down that road. Like you don't use that violence unless that violence is completely necessary, but they didn't give us reason to feel bad about the potential for the Union's enemies to pull that trigger themselves. Meh.
So, I don't know. I mean, again, like we said, one more episode to go. I don't like to guess what's going to happen. I don't really know. I mean, Jolie, you mentioned that, you'd like to see Mercer's daughter. That's probably the one big dangling subplot at this point. There's nothing else really that's really dangling, right? Like almost everything else has been kind of wrapped up. So maybe we can assume that's what it's going to be. I don't know.
Yeah. More Kelly in a flight suit. I've never felt... No, I have. But that reawakened something in my brains. Hello.
Latent. No, anyway.
No.
When they were... No. When they were falling in those suits and flying through the city...
Yeah.
Again, it was like, this is... Okay, look, we always talk about Star Trek. What about Star Wars? The special effects on the Orville are better than any Star Wars show. How is this possible? How can a show that started out as a...
Hulu money.
it started as a network show. Okay, I know, and I don't understand the exact, like, how Disney works, who's funding what. But to me, there's no way this has as big a budget as Star Wars. That's impossible. Yet, it looks better.
Also, I feel like they have had a lot of time for production as well.
Yeah, but so, I mean, Star Wars, they could spend as much time as they want. They just choose not to, right? I don't know. It just makes me, just seeing how good this show looks makes me even more angry that the Star Wars shows, even the ones that are okay, look like...
Yeah.
They look cheap. They look like cheap fan fiction almost.
Yeah, I actually am like excited to be heading, like, to be doing, that they're doing that Cassian one, the Andor. Because it's like... Oh, finally, not something that's going to be so overblown with space battles and...
Right.
Yeah, because I felt like I got a really good breather with, like, Rogue One. Anyway.
Rogue One is the universally... Like, most people agree they like Rogue One. It's actually not one of my favorites. I do like it, but if... what is it called? Andor?
Yeah.
If it's in that vibe, I'll give it a chance. But my patience with Star Wars, like I know Ian's patience is down to 0. Mine is like so close to it. Like I've lost almost all my goodwill for Star Wars. Other than Grogu, I love Grogu. Other than that, like when I saw this trailer for Andor, I'm like, here we go, another one. You know, I'll give it 1 episode. That's it.
How do you hate an ugly, cute baby? You don't. You hate an ugly baby, but when the baby is so ugly that it's adorable, you can't hate it.
We can all agree that we hate ugly babies. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So like you were saying before, I feel like knowing that we have another hour and 45 minutes left of the Orville possibly ever to watch, we might be heading back to Krill.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that is a dangling subplot there too, right? She's going back.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a resolution between her and Mercer that goes beyond him seeing his daughter again? Like that?
Yeah. It sucks because you know that, like, deep down, if they could, they would love each other. I think. I
was waiting for another Billy Joel reference, but we didn't get one.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my Billy Joel library. This is not the time for a musical interlude.
So
not
I guess
that I was gonna break out into song.
Yeah. You're not that obnoxious. Anyway, I did like this episode. Yeah, there was flaws. I agree with you, Ian. It felt a little bit put on, like it wasn't quite all it could have been. Definitely not. But we'll see. I mean, next week we can also do like a sort of a season overview as well, because it's the end of the season. So we'll kind of, we'll have to rate it compared to other seasons. But anyway, so I guess that wraps up this week's review of the second last episode of season 3 of The Orville. I want to thank Champion and G.I. Jolie for joining me.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. We review every episode of The Orville in chronological order. Now, chronologically, the next episode is not an episode, right, Jolie? It's Sympathy for the Devil. The book, right?
Chronologically, Sympathy for the Devil came before Domino.
That's right. So everyone go out and read that, even though we didn't and we're not going to. But if you want to know the full story... Oh, Jolie's going to. Okay, there you go. But yeah, so every episode can be downloaded or streamed or whatever you do. Listen to at www.comicbooksyndicate.com. Again, 1 more episode for the season to go. And until next Wednesday, there's more where that came from.